Yo, what's up guys, my name is Paul. Today I'm going to take you through how I would mix an instrumental. This is a cover of the song Best of You by the Foo Fighters that was recorded with a live band. Let's give it a listen before there's any mixing. As you can hear, it's pretty messy right now. There's a lot of interference with all the bass of the different instruments, and you can hear echoes from the vocals that I've had to remove. So I'm going to start out with just the bass. As you can hear, it's very clicky from the person playing it. It's not very bassy, actually. So the first thing I'm going to add is this compressor. What this compressor is doing is taking all the lows, making them a bit higher, taking all the highs, making them a bit lower. Basically trying to level out the sound a bit. Next thing I'm going to be adding is this EQ. This EQ is taking out all the high end from the bass, getting rid of that clicky, awful sound. It's taking out a bit of the low end where it's just not needed. It's just wasting energy on the speakers. And then it's also taking out this bad noise that I found. There you go, giving it a bit more cleaner sound. Next, I wanted it to sound a bit thicker, so I added in this distortion. Now when it comes to mixing, you want your bass to be pretty central, because that's how it is in most songs, you know, so it doesn't feel like one speaker's a lot heavier than the other speaker, and I'm going to make it a little bit louder so it stands out a bit more in the mix. Next we're going to move on to the guitar of the song. First thing I'm going to be adding is the studio EQ again. We're going to be taking off all that low end that isn't needed so it doesn't clash with the bass. Also taking out this frequency. You can hear it ringing, it's just not needed. And then this frequency. Just trying to make it sound as clear as possible, and then a bit of a branch at the high end to make it sound a bit brighter. Next I'm going to be adding this little tune saturator. Just to give it a little bit of more thickness and a little bit more drive. Now for the guitar, it can be center, but that can sound a bit boring, so I'm going to start moving it about. I think it'll fit pretty well in the right ear when with the rest of the mix. Now the song wasn't recorded perfectly in time, but you get the point. It sounds pretty good. Now for some reason in this recording, the two toms just aren't working. You can see here where it is meant to be playing in the build-up, but it's just not coming through the audio. Even when soloed, it's just not working for some reason. So what we're just going to do for now is we're just going to skip past the toms. I'll show you what I put on them anyway, in case you want to try it out on yours. First thing I put on both was this gate, to try and get rid of some of the background noise, so you know, it's just the tom that you're hearing, because it's a live recording, there's going to be a lot of audio bleed. Next is this reverence reverb to give it a bit more space. And then finally, they have these two studio EQs for each one. They're slightly different because it's different frequencies with a different pitch of each tom, but they both do the same job. They get rid of the low end, bit of the high end where it's not needed, and then they get rid of some unwanted frequencies. Now to pan them, what I would normally do is I would have them laid out like as if the drum kit was in front of me. So I'd have the floor tom, you know, all the way to the right, and the top tom a bit to the right, just to give it more soundstage, a bit more width to make it sound a bit more fuller in the mix. Okay, next we're moving on to the two overheads. Overhead microphones when doing a live recording is when you put two microphones facing opposite directions over like the drum kit or just the room in general. This helps give the mix like a really wide and nice sound and a good sound stage. Also, it adds like the natural reverb of the room, which makes it sound a hell of a lot nicer. Now the way that you put in overheads when you're using a DAW or just any recording program is you have whichever way they're facing panned completely opposite ways. This makes it sound a lot wider and just better like how it's meant to be. Here's how it sounds when it's not panned. And here's how it's going to sound when we have them panned and you got that spatial in it. Instantly, it's just so much more space, it's more natural, it's bigger reverb. Obviously you're going to hear all the bleeding because it's capturing the whole room, but it makes it feel so much brighter and just bigger in the mix. Now on both of these I have basically the same EQ, just trying to get rid of some of that low end that isn't needed. I'm trying to keep the mix not muddy, but you know, just clean and nice. And then next we have the snare drum of the kit. It's not that bad of a sound coming straight from the mic, but I want to make it a bit better. The first thing I'm going to be adding is this gate to try get rid of a little bit of the low end. It won't make much difference because I have it set quite low, but just a little bit. Then next I added in this expander to really, you know, cut out all that background noise, which I didn't want. I wanted pure snare in this. Instantly, you can hear it just cut everything out. Next I've got in this reverence, just to give it a bit more, you know, depth, natural to it. You can hear that tail on it now, making it sound a bit bigger as well. Then we got some studio EQ. This is mainly to take out the low end, add a little bit to the high end, and then take out some unwanted frequencies like ringing and stuff. And then finally we've got this tube saturator on it, which is just giving it a little bit more warmth and grain to it, you know, make it sound a bit better. Now for the snare, because we're doing it how a drum kit would be, it's a bit to the left, so I'm going to move this over here. And then finally we've got the kick. Now the main problem with the kick in this is we had a live bass, obviously, so it's ringing through the drum kit as well. You can hear the bass a lot. So what I'm going to do first is with this studio EQ, I'm going to take out a little bit of the low end. You can't really hear it on the kick. Taking out all the high end, this little bit up here, because it's just not needed. You just want the low end of the kick. Well, you still want a bit of the top end to give it that sound to it. And then here I'm putting a little dip that's trying to remove some of the bass frequency. You can hear that it's got the ring of the bass in it, and it's a bit just too much for the kick, so I take that down a little bit to try help it. You know, clear it out, make it a lot more just kick. Next I did in a bit more distortion to give it a bit more texture, you know. And then I added another studio EQ just to bring up a bit behind where we took out the frequency to give the kick a bit more punch. As you can hear there. So now let's listen to the whole drum kit together. Now we're going to start mixing it, doing the audio levels for the whole thing. Now for the kick, I generally want to hit around 6 to make it sure that it's hitting quite nice. About there we'll do, and then we listen in the snare. About maybe between the 6 and the 12 sounds generally nice. But obviously we don't have the tom mics, but I would have them a bit lower because they're normally quite loud. Then when it comes to the overheads, what we're going to want to be doing here is moving both of them at the same time, because otherwise you'll have one ear louder than the other and it just doesn't sound nice. It'll sound like this. Or the other way. So they want to be at the same level to keep it balanced. So there, I think that's a bit more better of a sound for this. Now we're just going to unmute everything and try to get a good level for everything. Obviously the timing is a bit off there, but it's from a live performance. What do you expect, really? I think the mix is starting to sound a lot better here. Let's listen back to what it sounds like without all the plugins to get a good comparison. There we go. It's just cleaner, it's nicer, it's brighter, and it just sounds a lot fuller with the soundstage or the panning. Here's a little bonus thing if you wanted to make the guitar sound a lot fuller. What you could do is you could find an area where the chorus comes in like this. Cut out between the bits that you want. What we're going to do here is cut out the bit that we want to sound a bit louder and a bit nicer, you know. And we're going to duplicate the track and we're going to cut out the rest of the space. So we just have that extra clip. What we're going to do with this track is we're going to pan it the opposite way to the other guitar to give it a bit more fuller sounds. So we'll go mid string to both. And then on this, we're actually going to add more distortion. We can do this in a lot of ways. I feel like the tube might be a pretty good way, you know, just put it really up. You know, move the EQ down so I can change some bits. There you go. So now we're gonna mix it and it'll be a lot quieter. Now what's that done? Now what that has done is it's going to make it sound a lot more fuller when the chorus hits a bit more impactful. Let's listen. Maybe a bit too much distortion on that. There you go, that just sounds so much better. Well guys, that'll be it for this quick mix. Thank you for joining me. If you want any more tips when it comes to mixing, producing, just general music work using a computer, subscribe to the channel and follow for more. If you want to listen to some of my music that I've made, it'll be linked in the description and it'll be on a card on the screen right now. So feel free to click that and check it out. You know, support always helps. And if you want any more detailed information on specific plugins or, you know, how you record an instrument, either leave a comment or check out the short side of my channel as I might have already covered it. But yeah, that'll be it for today. Thank you guys for watching and I'll see you all later.